Next up, SBJ's Austin Karp is joined by Jaci Hayes of esports, gaming, and lifestyle brand FaZe Clan, and Nick Cronin of intelligence and analytics platform Zoomph to talk about the power of influencers and brand-friendly innovations that help to drive viewer engagement.
I think it's fair to say that staying connected with fans and, of course, adding new fans has maybe never been more important in sports business. But maintaining a robust social media presence and staying fresh with content creation, I mean, those are both critical in keeping fans interested, not to mention attracting brand partners. So I'm glad you both are here to talk about best practices and trends that you're seeing in these efforts. Jaci, I want to start with you. For anyone unfamiliar, FaZe is based out of LA, fields 8 competitive teams in games like Call of Duty, CSGO, FIFA, Fortnite, Valorant. You also have a robust in-house media content team and collaborations across the music and sports space. So, I want to start with sports social media in particular. Jaci, give us a 30,000-foot view of how FaZe is using different platforms and different tactics to keep fans engaged right now.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the intro. We really, because FaZe Clan was born from content creators first, and then we went into esports. It's natural to us. We're doing it authentically because we've always been content creators, right? Mm-hmm. Now we started on YouTube, which is where we've seen the most growth throughout the years. But this year during COVID, we've obviously seen a huge rise in our streaming numbers and TikTok, which started at 0 at the beginning of the year and then went to 4.4 million, I think now, followers. We don't take one piece of content and just push it out across all platforms. We really create content specific to the platform. If any of you guys have kids, you watch how they do it. We watch it on a big, massive scale at FaZe Clan, but when you're on TikTok, you're on TikTok. So we create content for our TikTok audience. We do the same with Instagram, whether it's stories, hard posts, or IGTV. And we do the same on Twitter and then of course on our big streaming platform with Twitch and on YouTube. But they're all created, they're all different, and we speak to those audiences differently. It's obviously FaZe and gaming at the core, but we speak to each audience where they are. Well, I know there's people going to all these different platforms. When they're in one, we don't feel a strong need to tear them out of that platform because we know their behaviors on those platforms are that they want to stay there. So we speak to them on the platform that they're on.
I mean, how much have those behaviors and how much has specifically FaZe's strategy shifted since March?
Well, significantly in that, at the beginning of the year, I think we were talking about a lot of live events. We even hired someone, Spencer Sherman, to run that for us. And I think 2 weeks into hiring him, we got, it was locked down, and we completely pivoted to running streaming tournaments on Twitch, which have been incredibly successful. We started with a Fight to Fun tournament where we raised $125,000, and we then went into a Valorant tournament, a Twitch Rivals tournament, an Among Us tournament, but all live streaming. And we've seen live streaming skyrocket for us. Our fans have loved it. We've been able to take content from those events and post them on YouTube and other social platforms. So it's been, because of the lack of live events for us, which we love and we're really going to lean into this year, this has created a new event for us, live streaming. And it's been an incredible pivot, and our fans have loved it. Our talent has loved it, and it's been a new revenue stream for us as well. So we've seen that grow tremendously from the beginning of the year. It was 0, and now it's grown tremendously.
It's obviously a sea change in what's going on out there. So,
yeah.
Nick, your outfit, Zoomph, you guys are among the leaders in measuring what's moving the needle, specifically on social media and other platforms, those kinds of platforms. What are the trends that you have seen emerge, since March in particular, and what sort of content is now, I guess, sticky for fans? Like what's really sticking out there?
So that's a great question, and like Jaci said, I think naturally, gaming and esports, this was supposed to be a big year for live events. Everything moving to digital, we became a little bit more important in looking at all these metrics that are happening on these different platforms. And what we do is we kind of look at each of them, like Jaci said, as they're totally different audiences. So understanding those audiences allows you to look at the different KPIs and goals that you have set for each one. So whether you're activating on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, YouTube being more for VODs versus Twitch being more for live streaming, we're helping some of our partners just kind of understand the revenue there and helping to kind of grow different partnerships within their team and their players.
I mean, is there a platform you want to speak to, you can speak to in particular that has just shown, I mean, Jaci, you talked about, TikTok being the platform. Is that the one that you have really seen just exponential growth in the space?
So TikTok definitely is kind of a new phase. I think that FaZe Clan's like ahead of the group on TikTok, but we see a lot of growth on Twitter when it comes to gaming. We see a lot of the conversation there, a lot of the conversation and a lot of the gambling happening, the betting on gaming within Twitter. So you see a lot and you start to understand a lot about the community behind the game. It's a little bit different than the audience that you see on Twitch and YouTube. So we've seen a lot of growth on Twitter. And then with Jaci and FaZe, they're doing a great job of bringing kind of those celebrities like Bronny and some of those athletes that bring that traditional audience of, here they're already creating this huge engagement over in, your traditional sports, and bringing those over to gaming. It's just been immense for the whole gaming community.
Well, you brought up, potential betting on esports. Like, I'll throw this out there for either one of you. What do you see as the potential? Sports betting is obviously booming in the United States. What do you see the potential in terms of using betting to engage more fans? Is there a lot of growth in esports for that?
We reached, depending on platforms, on TikTok, it's a much younger audience. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've seen that skyrocket as everyone across the country is doing online school at home. It's a way for kids to kind of engage in content. It's a way for us to entertain a ton of kids who are isolated at home. Betting, we're not jumping into right now for age reasons.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense given the demo. Yeah.
But we see the potential. It's huge in Europe. We see it. We're watching it. We're ready. Just right now, having this large of a social footprint means we have a large, social obligation to make sure we're measured in what we push out to this large group of youth culture, right? So we want to be careful.
No, I understand that, definitely. So I just want to switch gears to brand partnerships versus fans right now. Jaci, FaZe has attracted some big blue chip, non-endemic partners specifically over the last 18 months. Talking Nissan, Beats by Dre, Verizon. What is it that these big name corporate partners like? What are they wanting to see on social media out there from an esports outlet like yours?
I think they're seeing, when you reach 230 million, youth out there, that's just a number. But when you see the engagement around the branded content we're putting out there, mm-hmm. It's incredibly high, which means we're doing something right and we're speaking to youth in their language. And everyone says authentic. That was such an overused word for a long time. But we're truly doing it in an authentic way. We're tapping the creators who live and breathe this stuff 24/7. That's all they do. Our production didn't stop when COVID happened. Mm-hmm. It ramped up. And brands obviously see this. They look at the data and analytics and the metrics. And all of our partners that started with us 3 years ago have stayed, not only stayed, but doubled and renewed. So, because we're not just obviously we want to see revenue coming in, but we're not just doing it for that. We're also treating it as entertainment and rolling it out that way across our various platforms. So I think that's what, brands want to obviously get into esports, but when you just talk about esports, it unlocks a certain amount of revenue. When you talk about youth culture, it unlocks a whole other bag of revenue from brands, right? Mm-hmm. And gaming is, we like to feel like we've been part of, putting gaming into the mainstream, and not in a forced way, but in reaching out, to certain musicians and athletes that are interested in gaming first, and that work with our athletes, in esports and play each other. So we bring them in that way, where it's an authentic marriage. It's talent to talent. It's not corporate saying, oh, we want to expand your audience through this way. It's really truly an authentic way. And I've been in gaming for 23 years. I know what can happen when you do it the wrong way or you do it a forced way. this crowd is young, youthful, opinionated. They sniff out fake in like 2 seconds. So we have to do it the right way. You know, it doesn't make sense to sell out. And I think brands see that, and they've trusted us with their brands to elevate them alongside with us and what we're doing in the space. You know, I think Verizon was a perfect example, and we got a lot of press around bringing them in into the you know, live streaming tournaments area, and they trust how we treat their brand and how we speak to the youth culture and creating branded content for them.
So, like Nick,
kind of a long-winded answer, but it's
a
big topic.
It is a big topic.
That makes a lot of sense. And just to kind of add to that, Jaci, it's something we always kind of talk about internally. We call it this kind of this personality-driven data approach. And you know, it's really harnessing the athletes, the players, the creators, and you guys were the ones that naturally come in, like you said, from the opposite direction. So a lot of teams we're, you know, seeing are trying to come in from the other direction and bring their personality to light. So it's, you guys have really been on the forefront of that. What we always joke about internally is the personality driven approach that you guys have to esports and gaming.
Yeah, no, I like personality driven data. Good term.
So, but you know, FaZe has taken it to the next level and getting your brand, your name beyond just esports to create these new revenue streams, merch tie-ups with the NFL, LA Kings, Man City, you know, investments and collaborations like you mentioned with Ben Simmons, LeBron James Jr. But you've created a dedicated film and TV studio. Like, talk about how that project has gone for FaZe.
Yeah, you know, and to speak to the athletes though, just to be sure we're all, they play games, and that's why they come to FaZe, you know, because there's something for them to do with talent. And I think with our talent across the board and with the content they're creating every day, we felt like there was a need. More people, our fans wanted more. And we're not a Hollywood production studio, right? So we're not going to create movies long term, but it made sense to partner with someone that did. And so with Michael Sugar, it made sense to partner with him to create FaZe Studios. And what that really means is we're looking for IP out there that speaks to the youth culture. We're bringing it in and, you know, into our talent and getting their feedback, and with our in-house production team. And then we're letting, you know, we haven't launched one yet, so that's just an internal partnership. But then we're letting the experts at Michael Sugar Studios vet which ones we go into. There's also another one with Invisible Narratives that we partnered with, where it puts our talent in the movie. So as you may have seen, the Rug movie Crimson launched a couple of weeks ago, and that was direct to consumer, and that was really, there's not a lot of our talent that will want to do that, but we want to bring, you know, whatever our talent wants to go or whatever direction they want to go in. We definitely, as a management company as well, want to bring these opportunities to our talent. So this was something Rug was really, he really wanted to do this. So we wanted to give him the opportunity. So that was why we did the partnership with Invisible Narratives to do this movie around him. And he's loved it. It's flexed a muscle he's never used before in long term or in long form content in this way. And it's been, and it's had, you know, FaZe has supported him in doing this. So it's been really fun.
You know, getting back to the celebrity types you talked about, whether it's, you know, athletes, movie stars, or musicians you've done with musicians like rappers like Lil Yachty. Nick, from the data you've seen, like, how much does that move the needle bringing on these, you know, celebrities into the esports space?
I mean, it's hugely impactful for esports and gaming, for these celebrities that have already built audiences in traditional sports to be bringing their audience. It's hugely impactful. I mean, you know, Bronny coming in with over 4.3 million followers on TikTok alone, you know, and then also kind of looking at how you guys brought in Ben Simmons, but then you look at other athletes like Juju, you know, creating his own team, and Lando Norris creating a team. I mean, these athletes are just, you know, have a huge audience in their own. So it's really impactful for the traditional sports and the, you know, gaming community to mingle there. So you'll continue to see that in gaming. And you know, naturally, the athletes have always been gamers at heart, and also content creators themselves. So it's we're really enjoying seeing that, and also kind of measuring the impact using Zoomph's AI to track some of that for some of the brands that we're working with.
Okay. You know, I want to switch gears a little bit. You know, something that this is for both of you, something that FaZe has been really at the forefront in esports about is diversity inclusion initiatives. I mean, how important is that in engaging fans of esports, considering the demo that you're trying to hit?
Yeah, I'll speak first, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Nick, from a data perspective. It's been at the top of our list. Of course, we established a diversity council early on in the year, as soon as the BL movement happened, and I think we led the gaming orgs, I think I'm safe to say that, and pushing out positive messages around BLM and other social justice issues. We also, you know, registered more voters than any org out there. That's been at the top of our list, because I think when you have a platform of 230 million, again, it's on us to lead in the right way. And obviously there's been some sexism and racism within the gaming culture. We need to root that out immediately. We need to lead in it. We just have to. That's, you know, I think any org reaching this many people has to be vocal and upfront and tackle it head on. And we have done that, and I'm really proud to do it. It's also, you know, I have 3 sons of my own at home, and with all these kids at home, isolated in their houses, you know, not everyone can go off to their vacation homes. I think it's also even more important right now to be out there and entertaining them with just fun videos as well, but also being mindful of the fact that so many people are following us, and to make sure we're doing it the right way.
I mean, obviously it's incredibly important. I think it's something that we tip our hat on across, you know, we don't just work in esports and gaming, we work in traditional sports as well, working with a lot of the women teams and organizations. So we find it really important for inclusion and diversity throughout everything that we do. So we're looking at, you know, Cloud9 with what they're doing, putting a full Valorant team, but there's also been a ton of female creators already in the space. And so we just continue to kind of, you know, lean on that as something that we want to be a part of in the growth that we want to see more in gaming. So with the work that we do with some of the teams and brands that we're working with. So I think it's going to be a growing thing, definitely within gaming and esports.
What is the next step for each of you in terms of, like, what are you watching in content engagement?
So I just got banned from Among Us last night from my wife.
Okay.
You know,
totally different direction.
Yeah, I was like, so I'm really getting into kind of some of the games like Among Us and the Fall Guy that are coming out. In the content scene, you know, the reason I mention those is because you see a lot of kind of the traditional gamers who are on, you know, the FPSs and the first person shooters, and them coming over to play some of those games are really producing more engagement for them and more views than what they traditionally get on some of their other games. So I think those games are bringing fun and light to, and goes back to that personality driven approach that we kind of look at as kind of wanting to know more about the players in for some of these teams. And kind of the creators behind the space.
Yeah, interesting you should say Among Us. I mean, I think our entire, you know, roster of 80 creators jumped on that game immediately, and the engagement went through the roof. And then I look in my own house, and you see all these kids online at home. It's their social currency, and it's the way to communicate with their friends right now. They're all at home. I mean, whoever thought we'd be at home this far into COVID lockdown, but they're not at school. This is a way they can communicate with their friends and share what they're doing. And, you know, some parents that weren't okay with gaming before COVID are okay with it now, because they see their kids being able to have relationships and have social interaction. And this is the way you do it. So I'm guessing the analytics have to prove that the engagement is going through the roof right now. And while I know when COVID comes to an end at some point, you know, we're back doing, you know, the live events again and all that. I think some of the fans that we've attracted, it's rooted in competition, it's rooted in loyalty. I think we'll keep a lot of them. You know, hopefully kids go outside again. We're not always in front of a screen. I'm not saying that's good, but as a way to, you know, socialize right now, I think gaming has provided a good outlet for that.
Jaci, Nick, I really appreciate you all taking the time to chat this afternoon, and have a great one.
You too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Austin. Good to meet you, Nick.
Nice to meet you, Jason.